Ooh, that looks tasty.
Welcome, folks. Today, the Hungry Gamer is back with another episode of Boards and Brews, and today I am rejoined by the occasional regular co-host, Original Don, and we are going to talk today about how we have done on our 5x5 and 10x10s, respectively, why you should go to small conventions, and then we're going to wrap it up by talking about our review game today, which is Avant Card with the brand new mini expansion Singapore. It's a lot of stuff, but most importantly, before you even tell me how you're doing today, Don, what is
Mm.
your brewed beverage today?
I am drinking a very tame ginger tea today. That's just the mood I'm in.
your your mood is ginger. Wow. So
Yes,
so kind of spicy, sometimes a little too much, but overall enjoyable.
and helps digestion.
Goes great with bourbon.
Probably would.
And so I just have just some iced tea, Lipton, because that's the cheapest.
Trader Joe's brand, because that's where I was.
Yep. So, how you doing today? It's been I think it's been 3 episodes since we had you on.
I'm good. Yeah, it has been a while. Tired. It's the end of the year, coming up on the little end of year vacation. So just trying to clear the decks. Last day of work tomorrow. So I'm looking forward to it.
And you got a full day coming, or are you gonna skip out early?
It's a
Don't
full
worry,
day,
your
but
boss
there
is not watching this.
definitely not. There will be some lunchtime board gaming and
Okay, you know what?
probably skipping out a little early.
That's almost a convention. So we're gonna come back to that in a little bit and
There you
talk
go.
about
It's a
what it is
very
you're
small
gonna
one.
play.
Yeah.
All right, so just kind of jumping right in. Both of us did. Well, you did it to full on 10x10. I only did a
Mhm.
5x5 this year with in the hopes that we would succeed. So my 5x5, I'm going to pull it off the wall right here. So I had Vindication, Rise of the Gnomes, The Reckoners, Merlin, and Merchant's Cove. And my thought behind all of these is every single one of these has a lot of modules or factions or something like that that makes it really varied. I was like, okay, that'll be easy. No problem.
Mhm.
You're bolder. You had a 10x10. And
I
as
did.
is fitting, you have a much fancier way of tracking your 10x10 than my laminated piece of paper. So, what did you
I
have
like
on
how
your
you're
10x10?
I like how you're bragging about the fancier tracker you got
It's
for it.
amazing.
It is amazing. So fancy Etsy tracker. I don't know if I'll go through all of well, so Ticket to Ride because we've been playing Ticket to Ride Legacy, or Legends of the what is it called? Legends of the West.
Legends of the West, yeah.
Uh so we just played our 10th game of that for this year. So that one got all the way to the end. So did Tesseract because we've been playing that like crazy. You and I think, played all 10 of those games. Then I have
Just about.
Witchstone,
No, we
Dwellings.
did play
Yeah,
the one. Me, you, Peter, and Mrs. Hungry Gamer.
yes, that's right. I won't go through all of them. Dwellings of Eldervale is on there because it should be a gimme. Castles of Burgundy because fancy edition. Uh, what else is no? Federation was a substitution. There was one game on there. I don't remember what it was, but it just became pretty quickly clear that I was not going to play it 10 times this year. And I discovered Federation in March and just kept playing it and playing it and playing it. So that was a substitution, which I think is allowed. King Domino is on there, which was my wife's one suggestion, and we've gotten all of 6 games of that in the entire year. So it's going to be a busy last couple weeks of the year, or we're going to fail like last year.
So, how many did you complete?
Just the two so far.
And how
Ticket to
many
Ride and
are
Tesseract.
within realistic striking distance, you think?
So 2 more games of Federation will close that one, and 2 more games of Dwellings will close that one. I think it's possible to play 4 more games of Castles of Burgundy. I don't think anything else is going to make it. Maybe
Okay.
King Domino. 4 more games of King Domino should be possible in 3 weeks.
Yeah,
But
so
it's better than I did last year.
yeah, well, there's progress. So I really thought I was on track to finish.
Mhm.
So Vindication, I got 4 out of 5 done, and I don't think it's gonna happen. I don't think it's gonna happen. Man, I was cooking really cruising through, and there's still modules I haven't tried for it. And I thought, oh, for like the brand new like story expansion thing, which is what I wanted the most, I still haven't played it. I haven't even opened it because I haven't tried all the other modules yet. Rise of the Gnomes, I'm one short.
Hmm.
The Reckoners, I'm one short. Merlin, not even close. We only played twice. I really thought for sure I'd play a lot of that. But Merchant's Cove, we did finish Merchant's Cove, so that's something. I don't know. I think maybe if I get on my horse here, Reckoners and maybe a solo player Rise. So I might be able to get 3 out of the 5 done, and it's pretty pretty depressing, pretty pathetic. So what?
We had one, we both had Merchant's Cove on our list. That was an intentional crossover because we thought that would mean success, right?
Oh, did you not
I
finish Merchant's Cove either?
Nope, 5 games
You only played 5. That's
all year. Yes. Almost certainly all with you. Um, so yeah, my strategy was a mix of medium, slightly heavy, and some lightweight games. And I don't know, I need to think a little harder next year, I guess.
Yeah, I just got overconfident at the beginning of the year. You should probably just put Tesseract back on there next year. Don't put Ticket to Ride Legacy on there.
No, we only have one game left. That would be a failure.
Yeah,
And I doubt I'm
on a
going to play
side note, that
regular Ticket to Ride 10 times.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's been I thought that's been a lot of fun, that Ticket to Ride Legacy.
absolutely.
And I
Yeah,
have
it's clever.
I have zero clue who is actually winning.
No idea.
Because my assumption is it's going to come down to just who made the most money throughout the whole thing, but then maybe not. Like,
Yeah.
there's usually some kind of twist on the scoring that's going to happen at the end.
But then there's so many different ways to make money, and some of them are hidden. And so, yeah,
Yeah, like
that's the spoiler free description of it. But yeah, it's just, there's a lot of question marks in there.
yeah, there was 2 things that your wife brought up at the end of the last game that I was like, "Oh, I totally forgot that existed." Because we
Yeah.
finished with it. And so it's hidden. So yeah, I have no idea. I guess we should come up with some kind of trophy or something for whoever wins. Now, the problem with that is that means we'll have to play another legacy game next year. So I don't know that
Hmm.
we want to commit to that. It's a lot of game.
Wouldn't say no.
Yeah.
But yeah,
All right. So you're gonna 10 by 10 again next year. You're gonna do it again.
absolutely. It's still
Yeah.
fun, even if I fail. It's like a more interesting New Year's resolution.
Well, that's funny. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna try the 5 by 5 again next year. I don't know. I think I need to put some gimmies on there, like things like things and rings, stuff like that. That's
Mhm.
just real fast. I can knock it out in literally like one game day, one con done. But all right, so we're both failures, is what we're saying, everybody. I'm curious,
Mhm.
everybody, down in the comments, if you're watching the video, or well, I don't know where you can leave comments if you're just listening. But is this something that you all do? And if so, how do you pick what games to put on there? Like, are you aspirational? Like, I know last year, Don, you were aspirational. You're like, I should play these
Yes.
games,
Yes. They
or
were
or
heavier.
are you trying to be realistic about it? And then another thing I was just thinking, like, if I just put a bunch of easy things on there next year, am I going to be disappointed in myself? Like, that's what I picked. You know,
Yeah, you don't want it to be too easy.
I feel like I
Also
should put
tell
a.
us if you have no idea what we're talking about. I don't know if we sufficiently described what these are, but
Oh, that's a good point.
happy to answer that in the comments.
Yeah, I am just assuming that's true. I'm just assuming that everyone knows what it is. Don, you want to explain to our viewing audience or listening audience what the heck we're talking about?
And it may be obvious by now, but it's 10 by 10 as you pick 10 games and plan to play them 10 times during the year each. And so you keep track of that. And that's the challenge. And if you use the BG Stats app to track your plays, you can program that challenge into there amongst other types of challenges. It's got a bunch of challenge templates, and that's one of them. So it'll automatically keep track of progress for you. So I have that in there, and then I also keep track of it on the fancy board.
Yeah,
It's
the
a visual reminder of my failure.
yeah, I thought I would be more inspired because my little one I have up there, whoever wins gets
It's
to draw a little
beautiful.
picture
Yeah, I
of,
like that.
yeah, of their glory, and it hasn't helped me. But
Yeah, on mine, the winner gets to move the meeple.
they're all
It's
yellow.
not as exciting as drawing a picture. Yeah, they're
I don't
yellow.
know. It is really cool.
It
It
is
it
cool.
did. I have enjoyed the few times I got to move the thing. Very exciting. Okay, so our topic. I don't know why I put that in quotes. It is our topic. Our topic today is we're talking about small conventions. Now, this came out of. I just came back from PAX Unplugged, which is numbers wise. I think it was bigger than. It might have been bigger than Origins. I'm not sure.
Hmm.
It felt about the same, but I don't know the numbers. But it's certainly, if it's not bigger than Origins, it's certainly the number three con in America as far as numbers wise, because I don't think BGG Con is that big yet. I don't think. I could be wrong. But in any event, in Philadelphia, that's where I was. Lots of people. At these big cons, I always find I spend most of my time walking the hall, talking to people, maybe doing a couple demos, and for me, in the least board game influencer way possible, trying not to come home with games. Like
Hmm.
I carry the big bag, but I really don't want to put anything in it because I don't have where to put it and it's hard to carry home. So it becomes like a little challenge to where like what's the thing I really want to spend 20 pounds of my limited allotment coming home with.
Yeah.
But we're talking about now, and you've been to two big conventions, right?
Yeah, Gen Con once, that's definitely one of the biggest. And then Dice Tower West, if you call that big, I'd call it medium sized. But yeah, those would be the two biggest ones. You're going to have more to say about big conventions than I am.
Well, that's fine because we're not talking about big cons because everyone likes is and excited gets excited about the big cons. We're talking about small conventions, and by small, I'm
Mhm.
going to say 10,000 and under. There's not many cons I think that are around 10,000 people, quite frankly, but that feels like a good number. So
Sure.
these are conventions that usually people aren't traveling very far for. It's usually just local folk. There's usually some kind of vendor hall. Usually you're not going to spend more than an hour in there, maybe, because you can walk the hall pretty
Cumulative.
quick. You know,
Yeah.
if that.
Yeah.
And so most of the stuff is done actually around gaming. So
Mhm.
why do you go? You go to as many of these, or maybe more than I do. You go to more of these than I do because I've never been to Dice Tower West. So why do you go to these small cons when you don't go to the big ones?
I mean, mostly because the whole point of going is to game. Um, the protospiels are another big part of it to me. And protospiel, for those who don't know, is the room where designers bring their prototypes and have folks test them out, and give them feedback, and then they go iterate, sometimes overnight and bring back the next version. Sometimes between cons, they're making big changes, and
And sometimes
I
they just don't
like
listen
that
at all.
sometimes, but usually they're there because they want the feedback. And that's what kind of really drew us into the small cons, especially, we're fortunate enough to be in the Bay Area here, and there's a small convention every holiday weekend here. So there's,
Much to my wife's chagrin.
yes, so there's, half a dozen conventions you can easily go to every year without going more than an hour away from your house. And so you see the same people. That's one reason. Like you get to know the people. The first one we ever went to was VendorCon in 2016. It's a convention that's been going on since the 70s. It was built around D&D. It's short for Dungeons and Dragons Convention. Um,
I
there's a
did not
lot
know
of
that. And now,
it is. Yeah,
obviously, that's what it is.
right. It's obvious. But yeah, I mean, it was created by people who wanted to get together and play Dungeons and Dragons back in the 70s. And, now it's bigger than it was, but it's still small and home. It feels like going home. We've been going for several years in a row now. You get to know people. You see that person you played dang it, what's the big war game? I'm not gonna
Diplomacy?
remember it. Yes, diplomacy. You see that guy you played diplomacy against 5 years ago and give him the stink eye and like don't talk to him ever again. But the protospiels are really great because you see the same folks. It's a real community, so that's a lot of fun. And then really just it's wall to wall gaming. Dice Tower West is the same thing. It's completely built around gaming. There's some panels, there's a couple of little shows, there's a decent vendor hall there, but it's really just come there and play games. And that is the one that I go to that requires some travel. and as we fly to Vegas for that, and there are people that come from all over the country and from other countries. And so there's that little extra excitement there, that big con kind of excitement that you're seeing people you know who live across the country. And so that's an added benefit there. But I do like the hometown conventions because you get to know folks.
The it's interesting you talk about, you kind of see people that you're like, oh yeah, I want to go game with that person. I can't, I'm such a negative human, but and you see those people, you're like, I gotta run as far away as I can, because I'm not gonna lie, I remember that person from that nightmare game of Buru, and I will run, I will hide.
There's
And
that.
it's fun, and it's the same thing in the Protospiel. There's a couple of people I'm like, oh gosh, look at the time, I gotta go do anything, and just kind of
That's
run away.
acceptable.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
the other thing that well, as you said, like, it's all gaming the whole time. Like, we go to these things, and we'll play 4 or 5 games a day and just go late into the night.
Hmm.
Hope that the DoorDash nachos we order have cheese on it, and then come back the next day and kind of rinse and repeat. It's always a lot of fun. And to your point, in our area, there's one every holiday weekend, and it kind of, my wife's like, okay, we need to pick one of these weekends that you're not going to do this. So we had to decide which one to let go. I'm letting go of the Pacificon, and the reason I'm letting go of Pacificon, which is right down the street from where I live, is because we have a new one, Kubla Fall, Kubla Khan
Yes.
Fall, and Kubla Khan, which is now called Kubla Prime. And I don't know how I feel about that. I feel kind of negative
Yeah,
about
I'm
it.
not calling it that.
Yeah, it's a Kubla Prime, but that is one. I think the Adepticon maybe is equal size, which is usually the
Mhm.
same weekend, but it's like 5,000 people,
Yeah.
and it's up South San Francisco, and that's like the biggest local convention. It has like 4 rows of vendor hall that you can go through, and sometimes
Hmm.
they have guests that'll fly in from around, but for the most part, it's still mostly local people.
Yep.
But now they have Kubla Fall, which is a new venture trying to take off, which is also just down the road from where we are. And I enjoyed it. It was a good time. It was weird that it was different. It was at a different place, and they
Yeah.
did a thing which I thought was real, which is actually one of the things I really thought was exciting. So I like watching the small cons kind of grow. Like you talk about DungeonCon has probably been exactly the same for the 70s. That's like 50 years. Holy
Hmm.
crap. It's probably been about the same size for the last 40 of those. But and Pacificon was always around the same size, but now this new one, Kubla Fall. Ah, I almost said it.
Hmm.
Ugh. It's set to grow. Like they put it in the place where they used, I don't know, a third of the space that they had allotted, so they can kind of keep growing and growing. And so I'm excited about that, because another small one that you and I went to is last year in Reno, RageCon. That
Hmm.
one also was in a huge venue that they did not have any business being in that huge venue, kind of just so it can grow. Because I really wish that we had a big major convention here on the West Coast. Like, I know I
Hmm.
keep talking about how much I love going to the smalls because I just get to actually play games. I don't actually get to play games at the big cons very much, but I also don't like flying across the country just to go to one of these big ones.
Yeah, there's that, and there's an excitement with the big cons. I mean, I big one I've been to is Gen Con, but you see all the big publishers there. You get to meet designers you wouldn't see otherwise. And you could spend the entire con just walking the vendor hall, which is mostly what the point is, right? Like it's not about going there to play games.
Yeah,
You get a little bit of gaming in, but
yeah, and it's
I
cool.
think we
You
did as
come
much.
home with new neat stuff. Like usually at the small cons,
Hmm.
usually if you pick up games at the small conventions, it's usually game stores that are there for the most part.
Yeah.
And it's they say, you played a game that you liked. Why don't you come buy a copy now? And what's really
Hmm.
cool about the small conventions and the game store booths is usually they're local game stores. And so you can say, "Oh man, you don't have a copy of Skyrise," and they'll say, "We can have that tomorrow," and they'll bring it in, which is just, I don't know. I guess you can just get it off Amazon tomorrow too, but that feels cool to me.
Yeah, there's something very cool about that. There was a lot of that going on in Vegas. for Dice Tower West. Meeple Meepleville, I think, is the big game store there. The Tim Medivere, I think his name is the guy who started that convention before it was a Dice Tower branded convention, and it was MeepleCon before, and they had a big booth there. And if you came and asked for something, they'd go get it from stock at the store, and you'd have it the next day. So, and you see some of that here. There's a great store from San Francisco that comes out. There's one here in the East Bay.
You,
Uh,
you know how mad they'll be if we don't. Well, no one's watching, but if we don't say their name, Gamescape,
so
they'll be.
Gamescape in the city, and then Black Diamond Gaming in
Yeah,
Concord here in the East Bay is a great store.
yeah. And sometimes
Games of
Game
Berkeley
Castle
is always
also
there.
comes out just to
Game Castle
piss
will
them
come
off.
out. Games of Berkeley will come out, and they always have that long, like, wall of dice you can buy from, and I have too many dice because of that.
Yeah, well now I'm at the risk of getting too many paints because at Kubla Fall they had the other neat thing, like the game stores, like they do kind of this neat stuff. Like you don't see
Hmm.
at the big conventions like the big tub of dice, and it's like fill up the pitcher with dice for
Hmm.
$10. Like you don't see the weird stuff like that. You don't see
Yeah.
like the thing that both of us got suckered in by. It was a box of 16 paints for $12 or whatever the heck it was, just mystery box. They even had ones like
Hmm.
every paint in this box is a different shade of gray. Like you don't see that weird stuff at the ones. That's really kind of charming.
Yeah.
Um, and the other thing that I like to do at the small cons is I like to run a couple of games
Hmm.
because not because I like to feel important, but I like, well, I do. Who am I kidding? I like to feel important, but I like to play games with people I don't know. And one of the dangers I find at small cons is you'll just kind of go and sit and play with people that you always play games with. And then, like, why are you here? A little bit. And that's something I think you and I talked about when we went to Pacificon last time. We're like, we could have just done this at my kitchen table,
Yeah.
instead of paying $40 or $50 for the weekend. So I like
Yeah.
to run something, just run a couple of games, and I pick something that see. The mistake I made is I didn't get every. I should have been playing at every convention something off of my 5x5 over and over, what I should have been doing.
We did a little of that
Yeah,
this year, but yeah, not enough.
I get I get overconfident.
Yeah, you're braver about running games than I am. I need to do some of that. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I'm comfortable playing with people I know.
Yeah, just doing a couple. I've yet to have a bad experience in a game that I've scheduled to run.
Mm,
Like even sometimes people don't show and whatever, but I've yet to
yeah,
have a bad one. So hopefully that'll kill you, because I just saw a post actually. DungeonCon is still looking for people to run board games, so this is your chance. You could run backyard chickens for the masses.
yeah.
You could sit on a chair that you've built up of boxes of backyard chickens, and then
There you go.
to the winner they earn the right to buy one from you.
There you go. That's perfect because it's so hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, you mentioned paying 50, $60 for the weekend. I mean, that's another benefit. They're cheap.
Yep.
Like these are not expensive conventions. You pay a lot more to go to the big ones.
Yeah, I there's not really a real discussion here. Mostly, I just wanted to be able to talk about the benefit of going to small conventions.
Hmm.
You so often, like the big ones, the whole thing is, oh, look at my haul. And on a side note, what are some people doing that they can come home with like those hauls of like 80, 90 games?
Yeah. Some people pack
Where
one
are they getting the
suitcase inside
money,
another. Yeah, there's
and
that.
how are they literally getting it home? Like, do these people just drive and that's it?
There's some of that. Some people pack one suitcase inside another so that they have an empty suitcase to fill up.
Yeah, but still, like that weight adds up, you know?
Yeah.
Like I literally I brought home only a couple of games from PAX, and I opened them, I punched them all out to save on a little bit of weight.
I've heard of that. People have punch parties in their hotel rooms. They punch out all the
Nerds.
games just to get rid of the extra cardboard.
Yep. And you did, maybe if you have expansions, you kind of put it in one. Oh yeah. But yeah, so I'm always curious how people are doing that. And then I think about, so where are you going to put it? It just seems like a nightmare. with all that. So I don't know. See, that's another benefit to small cons that doesn't happen. Like I've never come home with more than like two things from a small con.
Yeah, we used to come home with bigger stacks, especially when we were first starting to kind of build up a collection. So some of it was stuff we bought in the vendor hall because there were a lot of like good shelf staple kind of games we didn't have yet. And then we used to spend so much time in the Protospiel playtesting games, we would win just tons of them in the raffles because you get tickets for playtesting games and then they give away games. So we used to come home with a huge stack just from that, just because we spent so much time in there. But yeah, less so these days.
Yeah, I
There's
don't.
a lot going on here.
Yeah, it's interesting. The past few, I used to spend a lot of time in the Protospiels too. I've done less of it in the past few years. I think it's just mostly because I do a lot of previews anyway,
Mm,
and like the people that I know, the designers that I now know in those rooms, I'm like, okay, I will always playtest your stuff. They're usually reaching out to me anyway, and like it's
hmm
usually a nightmare tabletop simulator playtest or whatever, and so I'm just like, fine, because now the other thing that's really cool, and I don't know if you think it's as cool as I do. We have now had three cons in a row. We've managed to play the same game with the same guy who's not local to us. Like I guess we could drive to see him. He's like 2 hours away or something. But yeah, we
Right.
in the same heavy, crunchy game, Alderman. I love that we get to do that at all these little
And
local
we
cons.
and that game would not come off the shelf at home.
No,
Like you're
no,
never
and
gonna say, "Hey, we're playing Alderman today." But yeah,
it
it's a
says suddenly
nice
all your children have moved out.
right.
Maybe that's the plan. Um, Yeah,
But
and
yeah, that's
I
been
love
fun.
things like that. Even when I know at the big cons, I know that people are going to be there. People that I'm friends with that are other creators or what, we rarely actually sit down and play games. Even if we try to plan to play a game, like we had planned, myself, people from Level Up Board Game Podcast, and Don from Secret Cabal, we were gonna play Hegemony.
Hmm
For months we planned on this. What didn't get played? What?
Hegemony.
Oh my gosh, I don't know how you guessed that. So yeah, it just rarely happens because people you see people and oh let's go out to dinner, and so we did. We went to a
Hmm
great dinner, but yeah, that was like 4 hours of game time that was cut.
Shame
Like,
on you.
well, you don't say no to a 20-course meal, but there's
True.
also no 20-course meal at the small concert. Like, what 20-course meal are you gonna go to in Burlingame? Like,
Well, there's that.
like,
Yeah.
like the
If
20 courses of Taco Bell. Give me the whole menu, please.
you're lucky if you get cheese on your nachos.
Yes. So we're talking about there's three of the conventions are relatively near me down in the San Jose area, and one of them we got from this really great Mexican place, these great nachos, and so the next one came around, we did it again. And my nachos had no cheese on them, nothing. It
Bizarre.
was depressing, and so we did it again. The next time I was like, that had to be a fluke, and there was like 6 pieces of shredded cheese on my nachos. So
I just
woe is
learned about
me.
you.
Yeah, it was just traumatic. It's
Hmm
traumatic. All right, enough blather. I think what we're saying, everybody, find a small con and go. There's probably some around you. Now, here's the hard thing: is that I don't. It's hard to find them if you don't know.
hmm
And at the last at Kubla Fall, I was on a panel. I don't know why I was on a panel, but I was on a panel, and someone was asking, "Well, how do you find conventions with like proto spiels and stuff?" And people were given all these like, well, you go to the website and this sign up for this list with the website, and they have a list, and it's not really in date. Sometimes it's and no one had a good answer. And really, it's just you just have to kind of search and find local groups. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean,
I
yeah, I
don't know how you
discovered my
do it.
first con because somebody said, "Hey, DunderCon's coming up," and I said, "What's that?" And and that was my first convention ever. So yeah, I don't know how else we would have come across it. And it was here in the town I live in for 32 years before they outgrew that hotel and moved down to Santa Clara. But yeah, I
Yeah, my,
never
my
knew it was
first one
going
was
on.
Celesticon, which is now defunct, and I used to play a lot of Pathfinder, organized play. And the guy I knew, he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna go to this. You can play. I'm gonna play a bunch of different RPGs." And my wife was out of town, so I was like, "Okay." And I played a couple RPGs. It's a horrible Star Trek game, which is actually kind of why I got into board games, because I was like, this is not fun. I'm leaving. And then I was like, someone's like, hey, you want to play this board game? I was like, okay. But it was only because someone happened to say at a game store, here's this thing. And then from
Yeah,
there, someone said, oh, well, the next one is this one at this place. And then once you kind of get into the small con vibe, people start to tell you the ones that they're going to go to. But yeah, it's tough. So, but search it out, find one. All right.
all right.
So now is the most important part of the episode, the sponsor bump. Everybody, check out Noble Knight Games. If you're looking for a used or a new game, they might have it. I don't know. But they have lots of used games. Sometimes they're expensive, sometimes they're reasonably priced, but that's how it goes with used games. There's a link down in the description. It's an affiliate link, which means if you go buy something there, it costs you nothing, and I get a little kickback of store credit that I can use to get stuff. So that's how that works. Also, become a channel member. It's great. Right, Don?
Totally.
Let's see, there we go.
You see stuff
And
early, you get extra entries into giveaways, all that.
that is true. There are some extra
Worth
entries
it.
and giveaways you get sometimes. You get some early viewing of things. And if you really go all in at the up highest tier level, I will play digital games with you every month. Which might be good. Don would probably like someone to do that so he doesn't have to do it.
Please, come on. It's not that much money, folks. All right.
Save Don.
Here at Noble Knight Games, we've been carefully growing the world's largest selection of board games, role-playing games and dice, war games, miniatures and paints, card games, and more, going on 25 years now. Our rustic castle contains more game and hobby goodness than you can shake a stick at, complete with careful packaging and the finest customer service the land can provide. You can buy, sell, trade from anywhere in the world, just like nature intended. Noble Knight Games.
Okay, and we are back. So we're talking about a game that, well, we'll let Don tell everyone how he picked it up and what it is. But this game called Avante Card, a pure deck building game. And just at PAX, I had a meeting with Resonim, the publishers. I think that's how you pronounce it. And they sent me home with a copy of the brand new micro expansion called Singapore or the Singaporeans. And if you're
I love an
watching,
expansion that comes in an envelope. It's great.
yeah, it's like 8 cards or something like that. And I think it's 8 cards. And we've gotten to try it. I've played it a couple times. But Don, tell us about this game and how the heck you found this game, what it is, and then we'll talk about if we like it.
Well, this was it was a Kickstarter originally, and it's one of those things where I heard an interview on a podcast with one of the designers, and I was intrigued and went and looked it up. And I love a good deck builder, and it's just so compact and efficient that I backed it. I back I used to back a lot of things, but I backed it because it looked interesting. And then it arrived, and there are two things I love about it. One, it's a fast, efficient, easy to teach game. It's very pure builder with some bells and whistles around what the different cards do. The other thing is the gimmick of how it's packaged. The whole game rolls out and it's set up. The different decks of cards are on this cardboard thing that rolls up and turns into a tuck box and fits neatly into the
Yeah, it's
larger
almost like
box, which is
a
just
Swiss
this
cake
big.
roll, if you or a ho ho, the way it kind of rolls up.
Yeah. So I was showing it to just about everybody at Dice Tower West this year, and I showed it to one person. I was just like, we don't have time to play it, but I just have to show you this thing. And I rolled it out, and he said, I'd buy that just for the gimmick. And he did. Like the next morning, he told me, hey, we played it at breakfast. It's great. I felt like I needed a commission at Dice Tower West because they had several copies of it in the Meepleville booth and they sold all of them every day and they'd bring more back the next day and sell them because I was teaching people this game right and left. It's just great. And the whole idea of the game, there's an art theme to it. You're displaying an art collection, and then there are powers that come in for different roles in the art world. Other than that, it's fairly themeless. It's numerical cards, and you're drawing a hand of 7 cards from your deck, and you're playing as many as you can. And the way you play them is you pick a card to start, and then you can play the same number or the same color. and you just play as many cards from your hand as you can. That way, they don't have to be played in sequence or anything. They just have to match either color or number. And then there's powers that break the rules or give you extra points. And
Yeah, it'll be
the
like if
base
whoever
game,
plays the most twos gets some kind of bonus, like one
yeah,
extra buying
exactly.
power, or can upgrade a
Mhm.
card or something like that.
Yeah. And then the number of cards that you were able to play dictates how much money you have to spend on buying new cards from the market. And that's where you get these cards with powers. And so that's the entire game. And you're playing until, and when you're able to play a certain number of cards, six or more, you get a number of points, and the points are just cards, this other deck of cards. And when that deck runs out, the game's over. Everybody counts up their points and you see who won. And I think the base game is the New Yorkers, which is just a set. The 2 through 7 cards that are in the market are New York art collectors, I guess. And then there are a couple of other micro expansions that
Yeah, I
came
believe
with the
it's a
Kickstarter.
Paris and London, I think, are the other two originals, I
Yes,
think.
Paris, London, and there's one other one, Cairo or something. I want to say. And then this new expansion is Singapore, right? So, and they have different sets of powers. I have almost exclusively played the New Yorkers just because I love teaching it, and it's just easy to teach that one and get it out there. But we did try the Singapore one the other day, and it's fantastic. It's great. And,
But before we kind of did dig into the different expansions, just kind of broadly. So obviously, we like the game, and everybody, go look up how this thing is packed. And so, if you followed along, you know that we're friends with Peter Vaughn from Cardboard Alchemy, and his whole thing is just deluxe packaging and creative ways of doing things. And he was a person who was like, "Why have I not done this?" Like he was
Mhm.
borderline angry with himself. It's that cool, but very clever little game, and just the way that every time you are drawing your hand, it's not always a ton of choices you're making beyond, well, I can play this 3 cards or this 3 cards is often what the choice comes down to. But then the later in the game you go, it gets interesting because then it becomes, well, maybe I will only play 3 of my cards because then I can activate these 2 powers, which is going to make, in the end, is going to be worth more than maybe playing 5 cards right now. And then it really gets interesting because once you start losing, you actually get more buying power. It's a built-in little catch-up mechanic that you have, so someone can't just kind of run away with the game. You can carry over a little bit of money each round to buy again the next round, and you can play this game in 15 minutes and feel like you played a lot more. So yeah, I'm also a big fan because I don't even like deck builders generally, but this one just really catches my fancy. You've already talked a lot about, but anything else that you really like about it before we put the screws to it?
No, it's everything you said. It's a quick game. You feel really smart as you build your deck and accomplish a little bit more and a little bit more, a little bit more. And every once in a while, you just absolutely crush it in a game. But mostly, you're all kind of racing to the finish. It's great. It's quick to teach. It's quick to play. You can play it over and over again. It's great.
Yeah. Well, the other thing I really appreciate is that you cycle through your deck a lot.
Yes, I love a deck builder where you have a chance on your second turn of drawing a card you bought on your first turn.
Yep. I
Most of
just
them don't do that, and it's fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, I think about games like, and this is not me bashing these games, people, but Ruins of Arnak or Dune Imperium, and sometimes you'll get a card and you'll play it once,
Yeah,
and that's always a bummer. But this, you cycle through stuff real fast, the way it goes.
yeah.
Now, moving into kind of the things where I'm like, well, I don't know, I love that. Talking about these micro expansions, and I am with you. The first we played one of them, I can't remember which one that we played, and it had a lot of, or more kind of messing with other people, was, if my
Mhm.
memory serves. And I think that,
I think it was the Parisians.
yeah, that feels very very French, oh, I am better than you.
Yeah,
And I know we looked at the other two and we're like, I don't know, it just didn't leave me with good feels, with good vibes. Now that said, there's a lot of people that like that kind of aggression,
hmm,
take that, and so it's neat to me that it has in there kind of options kind of for everybody, which is kind of cool. I just didn't want to play them. But man, I love the Singapore.
Great. It feels like another flavor of the original. It,
Yep.
it's fun, clever powers where you're building up your own abilities instead of messing with others. And
Yeah,
we
you're
do need to
up.
try the ones we haven't, but yeah.
Yeah, you're upgrading cards, and
Hmm.
this one allows for some huge turns where if you play your cards right, you play your cards right, you can get like 10, 11 cards out there. And when I played with one of the designers at PAX, because I went to had a 15-minute meeting, he told me about it, we sat down and we played a whole game, and
Mm.
in that 15 minutes he got he got something like 8 points on the last turn. I was like, oh, did I win? Oh, sorry, bye. And sent me on my way. um yeah, it's really, I really like it. And it's everybody, look, if you're going to pick up this game, go pre-order the Singaporeans expansion. It's like $5, I don't know, probably $7 after shipping or something like that. It's just great. This is my favorite game that I do not actually own.
That's saying something.
Yeah, that's, oh, I got to be careful with that. But yeah, it might be, it might be like it, if you did not live close, I would have bought another copy of this at PAX. In fact, I actually sent our friend Corey Thompson over there. I was like, Corey, go buy some of these. And I thought about it. I was like, worried because Corey is known for finding small games he likes and just getting like 40 of them, just walking around giving them out. I was like, oh, did I just sell out their booth? He only bought two. But it's that clever because it's got a lot of clever stuff going on. But
Yeah.
yeah, my only knock on it is, the kind of aggressive micro expansions I don't like. What are your knocks on it? We can't be all sunshine and roses here. We gotta make them feel bad and be nervous.
Every once in a while, I feel like, have I figured this game out? And it's usually when I'm teaching somebody new and I'll just have a monster game and just win by a lot. Um, and that happens with a lot of games when you're really experienced and you're teaching brand new people. But I don't know, every once in a while, this game makes me feel like I've got it figured out. And then, the very next game I'll lose or I'm close or something like that. And so I'm not convinced, but there may come a time when I feel like I've found the formula to it or something like that. Um, that said, for it's something like a $25 game for that, I've gotten a ton of joy out of it. So if I get to the point where it feels like it's
You should
solved,
put that on your 10 by 10.
I
You should
should.
put that as two spots on your 10 by 10, and you still would have gotten it. There's an idea.
I may have.
Maybe put
Yeah,
it on there twice next year with different expansions.
there you go.
We get it done.
There you go.
It's
I
interesting. So
might.
the Singapore one actually has me thinking of wanting to go back and try the ones that we gave up on. It's like,
Hmm.
well, maybe we were just being snooty. Maybe we were being Parisian, and we should, kind of circle back and try it.
Yeah.
It's really clever, everybody. This is a Sunshine and Roses review here, but it's one of the best games Don has randomly found, like, ever.
I agree. It was a nice find. I've been very happy with it.
That's about it for us today, folks. This is a very short episode. It's been a while, but end of the year, it's finals week for my students, and that's always delightful. So we'll leave it kind of circling back around to this small con thing. Next week, is it next week? I think next week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
So yeah, next week is
yeah.
DonCon4,
Yeah.
and
At Christmas time.
yep, Merry Donmas, everybody,
Yes.
is what we have coming. And so, any games now, because DonCon, everybody, is all about playing games. Like earlier,
Absolutely.
I
Wall
said
to
we
wall.
thought about the one con, like, oh, we could have just done this at our house. Well, this is, we just do it at Don's house. Is all it is.
That's right.
Just play games, eat meatballs, and make bad choices by eating meatballs. That's the bad
Hmm.
choices we make. Everybody, we eat lots of meatballs. But what games are you looking forward to playing? I'm putting you on the spot here. DonCon4. What are some games you're looking forward to getting played?
Yeah, it's a good question. I've been thinking we might get Freedom 5 in because you've been curious about that one. This is a cooperative game. It's a big, overproduced game. set in the Sentinels of the Multiverse universe, and it was a Kickstarter that was projected to deliver in like 2021, and it just
Yeah,
arrived
I don't
like
think I
2
had
months
any
ago.
gray hairs in my beard when you backed this thing.
So I was all set to be disappointed by it because it had been such a long time since I backed it, and it's fantastic. It's really a lot of fun, and it's based on a game from like 2010. I can't remember the name of it, but
Defenders of the
it's
Realm,
thank you. They're re-implementing Defenders of the Realm with this game,
which is
and
ironic because now they're putting out a new Defenders of the Realm.
oh, that is funny.
Yeah, so it's
And
interesting.
I got I filled out for the pre-painted minis for this game, and they're phenomenal. So
Yes,
I'm
so
excited to play that.
everybody
So
go look these things up. They look really good. I thought they were going to be. I guess they've just improved the science of how to do these things efficiently because like you think about the old pre-painted minis, like you think of the original Betrayal at the House on the Hill, which like
mm,
whatever, they're fine, but like they look like crap if you look close at all. But these things, they look real good. Real good.
yeah. I wouldn't mind playing Castles of Burgundy again. I know we're playing Andromeda's Edge. Um, Peter would pick the game that he published and developed and all that stuff, but we're playing that, and that's a delight. I
Boy,
don't
I
know.
hope he
We might
likes it.
like, yeah. Um, what is the other one? There was another one I was thinking of, and now I'm blanking. But yeah, games like that, the bigger stuff that you don't always get to the table. Um, Unconscious Mind, maybe. We played that at Duplicon Fall. That was fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm thinking as I'm looking around. So one of the things I hope we get some of the kind of smaller, quicker, lighter games that we've
Hmm.
played and we like, but we just haven't played a lot. Something like Guild of Guildy Guilders gilding across the Atlantic, Guild of Merchant Explorers. You know,
Yes,
yeah, games. A couple of games like that. I'm sitting here right next to me. You can't. Oh, yeah, you can see it. Apiary here. I've been
I have
wanting.
not played that yet. Yeah,
I've been wanting to play it. So maybe try that. I'm looking right here of the Colt Express Big Box, which apparently is just a chaos incarnate game, which has me kind of
another one
excited.
I've never played. Yeah,
Yeah, but all of those was not so much apiary, but you know that those are mostly kind of quick, faster games. Obviously Andromeda's Edge. Looking forward to that. And I'm
super
thinking I
fast,
might.
super quick.
Yeah, I'm thinking. Oh yeah. Well, it's a little faster now for when everyone knows how to play.
Sure.
It's not that long, but it's
I mean,
not quick.
we always play Dwellings when we're with Peter too.
Yeah,
So
and I
both of
might,
those.
and I'm thinking maybe a game of Explorers of Navoria because I know you haven't played that. Peter hasn't played that,
Mm-mm.
and that's just a was is easily my biggest surprise of the year, without question.
Excellent. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, but anyhow, Don, I'm wondering if you've prepared this time.
A little bit.
What are your gaming words of wisdom?
So I'm going to keep it short because I'm tired. Um, and it's that end of year exhaustion thing. And I don't know, my best advice is know your energy level and pick the games that fit it. Sometimes you want to play a big chunky game that makes you think, and sometimes you just want to play something light and thoughtless. I was looking at something on the store shelf today. That I used to play with my team, and I'm completely blanking, but we used to play games on BG Ink and Gold, I think it is. You know, it's purely like push your luck, flip a card, see if you found treasure or found a monster in a cave, um, in a dungeon kind of thing, and you do not have to think about it. And there would be days, and we played a lot of online games in 2020, my team and I, like at lunchtime, so that we could stay connected. And what was the game we played when nobody felt like thinking? You're flipping cards and everybody goes, oh, you died, or oh, you found the treasure before I did. And that's the entirety of that game. And it's great. And then there's crunchier things when you feel more like thinking, like like, sorry, I'm not thinking very quickly today, but just, you play the chunkier games when you feel like being challenged. But yeah, know your energy levels
Yeah, I
and
was actually just sitting here
go for
next to
that.
me. I'm looking at a Deep Shelf, which it was one of my honorable mentions for Game of the Year, just because it's just heavier than is my usual jam.
Hmm.
And I had the time I think a week and a half or so ago, whatever, just kind of sit down and just I could play a solo game of it again. I had the time. And I was like, I just don't have it. I don't. My brain does not compute that right now, and so
Yeah.
I think that's why you mentioned that's why I'm leaning towards some of these kind of smaller games. Like, oh, well, that'd be fun. Just kind of play 12 of these little games. That'd be great. And then just kind
Yeah.
of build up. So I'm looking for it. Now, I almost forgot because I said it earlier. What are you going to play with your team on your last day of work? What games are you going to think you're going to play with them?
I just started to build the pile. I may have a large group at lunchtime tomorrow because it's my immediate team and then a few other folk. And so a good go-to is Second Chance. Classic Uwe Rosenberg rolling right. You're flipping over Tetris shapes and drawing them and trying to fill up more space than others on your little grid. That's the entire game, but that's always been a hit. Um, Long shot the dice game is always good. Um, it's a little longer than something like Second Chance. Cartographers is good for a lot of people. It says 1 to 99 players on the box. So um, the
God help you
challenge
if
with
you have
that one
100.
is no, this will be maybe 10 at most, but like when you get over 6, your choices go down quite a bit. But I'd love to play cartographers if I can project the cards up on a monitor or something, because those cards are hard to read when you're just a few people sitting around the
Mhm.
table. So we need to figure that out. But those are my thoughts so far. I'm going to look around a little bit more.
You're gonna maybe something like Things and Rings.
I don't think I have that here. I think Adrian took it on his trip. So
Wow,
I was thinking that and I can't find it. And I've played that with the same group. So they're going to be like, hey, where's Things and Rings? And I'm going to
you'd be like,
disappoint
you
them.
should buy one.
Right.
Yeah.
So
I
those are my
did.
thoughts. We'll
You
see.
can't get it yet. I know we're going
Hmm.
long, but I did just play at PAX. It was a demo with all play. They have a new one coming. I think it's going to be a Kickstarter. I don't know. I don't know if they're going to Kickstarter or if it's going to be just a release. It's called Alibis. It is like a cooperative code names, but not like, the code names duet or whatever, which is just for two. For I think up to five. I think we played at five. Fully cooperative code name style where there are a bunch of supervillains out there, and you're trying to like help them all come up with the different alibis until there's only one person that gets pinned on, and so all of
Hmm.
us will have two different words that correlate to these supervillains that we are, like I don't know where they're lawyers or whatever, I don't know, and kind of like a So Clover meets Just One. Those two words that we randomly get dealt, we have to create just one word that is the hint to everybody what our two words are. And
Hmm.
between however many of us there are, we have all of the words, all of the villains out there except for one. And we're
Hmm.
supposed to kind of all figure it out what everybody has. And then, that takes the heat, it's literally tokens, the heat tokens off of it. And depending on how well you do, you wind up with, you did great. Or you have 12 heat, like, you should try again, that kind of thing. But it's really cool. It's really cool. It doesn't help you tomorrow because I have it down here and you
No,
can't
but it sounds
get it.
like fun.
Yeah, but it's the type of thing that's I think it's going to be a really fun one once people can get a hold of it. So anyhow, there you have it, folks. Find a small convention. Keep going to the big ones. Find a small one. Check it out. Go play some games. Meet some new people. Go sign up for some events and get a copy of Backyard Chickens if you haven't already, because Don needs to buy some Christmas gifts.
Thanks all.
So, as always, if you enjoyed this episode, please like, subscribe, share, maybe become a channel member. As always, thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. I can see it. We can't see what they say, but we can certainly judge that one.
Yeah.
There's judgment
The
right there,
Oh, that's Furnace.
which
Must be
is,
the easiest one to play 10 times.
yep.